today is to look at how the rows and the columns and the trees interact to become reports by using some of the more advanced features available in Management Reporter. Starting with our rows, a dimension value set allows you to group accounts together with names that can be used on multiple reports. When you use a dimension value set, adding a new account becomes a lot easier, as you add the account to dimension value set once instead of numerous times to all the different reports you have. Dimension value sets can be built from any segment available to Management Reporter. Make use of column restrictions so that you can print certain rows only on certain columns. So here we can see sales month to date is going to print with column B, and sales year to date is going to print with column C. You can use related rows to clean up your reports. Rows with no values can hide in report options. However, the underlines and the totals don't auto-hide. So to make those hide, you can use related rows. You can manipulate the data that you present in your report using row modifiers. Row modifiers can be used to do things like show me the beginning balance, or show me year to date less a number of periods. Row modifiers can also be used to access the book code modifier. Book code modifiers can allow you to pull budgets onto row definitions as well as actuals. Use row modifiers to access the attribute modifier. An attribute modifier can be used so that you can see only certain kinds of transactions. Two examples could be showing me transactions only from the purchasing module. Another could be where the distribution reference is equal to Bob's truck if you're looking for reporting just about Bob's truck. Moving to columns, one feature is that you can use conditional print controls. Conditional print controls allow you to say that the period is less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, etc., the current period of the report. This can be used for things like forecasting, where we can look at any period in the current year and the system will have a look to see what the report date is and compare it to the column that's being used. You can make use of currency filters and currency displays to show expenses that are not in your functional currency and then show them converted to the functional currency amounts. Use the currency display and the currency filter to restrict your column data down to the currencies that you want to see. Just like the rows, columns also have filters. Here we can see an attribute filter for a particular column. We can show transactions from a particular GP series, transactions from particular transaction dates, vendors, customers, or distribution references. Column restrictions for start and end date can be used to split your periods into pieces. If you've been acquired by a new company mid-month, you've started a new company mid-month, you've been publicly listed, or you just need to split the month into pieces. Here we can see that April 1st to April 10th is in one column, April 11th to April 30th is in another column. Moving to trees, we can see that we can promote and demote branches of a tree to add consolidation. And the branches of the tree don't actually have to be inside my GL. So here I have my provinces which are inside my GL, but I can group my provinces together into the different geographic regions of Canada based on knowledge of geography rather than based on something that's inside my GL. On my reporting tree, I can show percentage ownership, where I have only partial ownership, or I'm showing a tree that is splitting out different owners. So here, my Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC, the Western Canada region, that's a 50% ownership with a partnership. Moving to the report itself, using the Report tab, we can look at the provisional drop-down and we can choose to include unposted activities or print the report just for unposted activities. This is extremely useful for doing what-if scenarios by including unposted journals in the report. In the Headers and Footers tab, people will often include the long date for the report that they are generating. Often people don't like seeing the long date to include the day of the week. Here we can see Wednesday, September 30th. If you want to remove that, you need to get your IT department to change the format of the long date on the server that the Management Reporter reports are being generated on. By removing the DDDD, that's the day of the week, that will then not print the day of the week on the report anymore. In the Settings tab of the report, when we go to the other window, on the Account Transactions tab, you can check a checkbox so that any unposted accounts will be marked with a star. This way the reader of the report will know that the data they're looking at is not actual data and includes unposted journals. Staying in the other window, moving to the additional options, you can check the checkbox for include amounts in future periods. Consider this setting if you're using deferred revenue or deferred expenses, or doing any kind of forecasting or year-to-date reporting. Let's head over to Management Reporter and see how each of these features interacts with each other. Starting in our row format, we can go to the Edit menu and we can use Manage Dimension Value Sets. Here we can see all the different segments that are available to Management Reporter, and we can build our new, or we can modify our value set. So here I'm making a value set that's called Sales, and it goes from account 4100 to 4142. If I add a new account, 4143, I only have to come back to one place now and change one thing instead of going to multiple reports and adding 4142 onto multiple reports. On the row format, where you normally would drill in to add an account or division or department, etc., instead you pick a dimension value set, and then you can use the ellipse to see the dimension value sets that are available. This is also where you can get to manage or edit or create new your dimension value sets. On this row format, I'm also making use of column restrictions. I'm asking my sales month to date to only print with column B, and my sales year to date to only print with column C. I'm also making use of related rows here, so I can have my underlines look at my total, which is on row 490, and my double underline print with row 490. This row format also has some row modifiers. Here on my PST expense, I'm asking for my beginning balance. On my PST budget, I'm asking for my 2027 sales budget. And on my PST for Bob's Truck, I'm asking for my distribution reference, where it's equal to Bob's Truck. Now, in my data, I don't know that I necessarily have anything, so I'm not sure that I'm going to get any results when I print this report, but let's find out. As expected, our row attribute filters did not come back with any data. They were quite specific. The two column restrictions completed and the underlines have not displayed due to the related rows. Moving to columns, we're going to have a look at the print control. So here we have a column format where we have the period is less than or equal to the base, and the period is greater than or equal to the base. What we're doing is saying that we're going to pull the actuals when the period is less than or equal to the base, we're going to pull the budget when the period is greater than or equal to base. What that's going to let us do is have a forecast. No matter which period we run in the year, we're going to be able to see actuals up to that period, and then we will see the forecast after that period. So looking at the report, we can see that we get actuals for our April figures, and then the budget kicks in for the rest of the year. So we now have a forecasted net income for what our year is going to be. Now let's have a look at some of the filters that we can put onto our column format. Our first column, we're going to say that we want to show our natural or originating currencies, which is going to show our foreign currency amounts, and we're going to do a currency filter for American dollars. In our second column, we want to have the functional currency for just those American dollars. So the system will flip from American to Canadian. In our second set of restrictions, we're going to ask for just things that come from the sales series. Our next column, we're going to split our April 1st to April 10th data and our April 11th to April 30th data. And then just to show that everything matches up, we'll have a column for April, and then we'll have a column that adds F and G together, which should match up to April. Looking at the report then, we have to remember that the Fabricam data is a US company, so I get the same answer in US dollars as Canadian, but I can see that my April 1st to 10th has split and my April 11th to 30th has split, and that they do in fact match. I can see that all of my sales data has come through. Again, using Fabricam data, I won't be able to show a report that actually uses this tree, but I can show that my different Canadian provinces are elements in my GL. My at any rows are my Western, Eastern, Maritimes, Northern Canada. These don't have to be in my GL. And I can still, because I know my geography, be able to split based on the entities that aren't really in my general ledger. In my Western Canada, I know I have a partnership with another company, so even though I have the set of books in GP, I'm only going to take 50% of that and put it onto my report for Western Canada. Moving to my reports now, I can see that my detail level, I can run that to the financial account transaction, and on provisional I can run for posted and unposted, or just unposted activity. Unposted activity is useful when I'm taking on a new company and entering their balances. I want somebody to verify that this is in fact the data I want before I post. Unposted and posted activity is excellent when you need to do what-if scenarios. Enter your journal entries, run the reports prior to posting to ensure that you did in fact get what you wanted to get. Over on the Headers Footers tab, you can see that we have the date long. We don't want to include the day of the week in the date long, so we need to go to the server where the management reporter is running. We're going to change our date time settings. We're going to change our date and time, and you'll notice the little shield there. So I may have to get IT to do this for me. I'm going to change calendar settings, and this is where I can see that the 4 Ds are the day of the week. So I would get them to take that out of my long date. If you do have a report that includes unposted journals, you're going to want to go to the Other button, and you're going to go to the Account Transaction Detail, and you're going to use the Mark Unposted Accounts with a star. That will let your readers know that there is unposted transactions within that report. If you do use data in future periods, say for your forecast, you can come to the Additional Ops window, and you can decide if you're going to include amounts from future periods.